Do you love the Golden Girls as much as you love Broadway? If so, we're about to make your day. We are thrilled to tell you that Jennifer Simard, two-time Tony nominee and star of the upcoming Death Becomes Her, and Patrick Hines, host of the podcasts Theater People, Broadway Backstory, and True Crime Obsessed, have just launched a brand new podcast called The Golden Girls Deep Dive Podcast. The Golden Girls Deep Dive Podcast is a hilarious new show recapping everyone's favorite sitcom, The Golden Girls. But it's more than your typical recap show because Jen and Patrick have a full-time researcher on their team, so each episode is jam-packed with fun facts. Like, you remember Coco, the gay chef from the pilot episode? Where did he go? Whatever happened to that actor? The Golden Girls Deep Dive Podcast will give you his whole story, including its unbelievable and truly mysterious ending. Or how about this one? Did you know that Bea Arthur was a truck driver in the Marines before becoming an actress? The Golden Girls Deep Dive team has done the research, and they're going to tell you all about it. And rest assured, there's tons of Broadway tidbits sprinkled in throughout the episodes as well. I mean, how could there not be? So grab your cheesecake and meet Jen Simard and Patrick Hines out on the lanai as you follow the Golden Girls Deep Dive Podcast everywhere podcasts are found.
In the spirit of reconciliation, the Theatre Thoughts podcast acknowledges the traditional custodians of country throughout Australia and their connections to land, sea and community. We pay our respects to their elders past and present and extend that respect to all traditional custodians of the land on which our episodes are recorded.
You can put it all to paper, you can put it wherever, but if there is no follow through, no one's going to see it. And I understand it is scary and it is terrifying, but do it. It is also, like I said, the most rewarding thing when it comes back.
Yeah.
And sometimes it doesn't. And that's okay too.
You're listening to the Theatre Thoughts podcast, where we dive deep into the world of theatre and celebrate the magic of the stage. I'm your host, Justin Clark, and I'm here to guide you through insightful conversations, behind-the-scenes stories, and thought-provoking discussions about everything theatre-related. Before we dive into today's episode, I want to remind you to connect with us on social media. You can follow us on Instagram at TheatreThoughtsAUS and TTPod_official for updates, behind-the-scenes content, and exclusive interviews. You can also find us on TikTok at Theatre Thoughts Australia for even more theatre goodness. And if you'd like to support the podcast and gain access to exclusive content, consider subscribing to our Patreon. So whether you're a seasoned theatregoer or just starting your journey, please sit back, relax, and enjoy this brand new episode of the Theatre Thoughts podcast. Welcome everyone to a very special episode of the Theatre Thoughts podcast. I have a friend with me to talk all things theatre today, and I'm very excited to have her on. So we have get this right, a Sydney-based Persian Pakistani performer, artist, writer, composer, and independent producer who hails from Karachi in Pakistan. She holds a bachelor's degree in music from the Australian Institute of Music. She premiered her autobiography show Blacklisted, which I've seen couple of times, at the Hayes Theatre, which also went on tour at both Sydney and Adelaide Fringe festivals. She's passionate about representation on stage and screen for marginalised communities and hopes that her work will leave a lasting impact well beyond the theatre. It's Almitra Malvalvala.
Hello!
Welcome!
Hello.
Welcome. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
We've been trying to organise this for a while now,
Yes,
and it's
we have.
great to pin you down.
Yes.
You're a busy person.
Well, I try. Actually, you're a busy person. What are you
am.
telling me?
Wow.
You're the busy one.
I am quite busy. That is true. That is very true.
Yeah.
But no, thank you for coming on and having a chat. You've obviously done a lot of things in theatre. It's been a busy year for you in that respect.
And it's only June.
I know. Isn't that crazy?
We're in June.
Yeah. Like 6 months in, and you've already done a full show at KXT. You took another show to Adelaide Fringe.
I did.
And now you're on to the next leg of your journey.
I am. I am. It's kind of scary. And it's these past few weeks I've just been reflecting so much on my 7.5 years.
Is that how long it's been? 7.5? Yeah, wow.
7.5 years in Australia.
Yeah.
And, I've just been thinking, and it's so easy to forget because all the years are so merged together. And I'm like, what year was that? And when did I do that? And it's so easy to forget because you're so into a production. You forget all of the things that got you there,
Yeah.
and you forget when you wrote it.
Yeah. It
Like,
would all kind of just mesh, isn't
It just all meshes together. And I was like, with Blacklisted, I started writing it in 2020.
2020.
Yeah, 2020.
It's a lockdown baby. Little lockdown baby.
Little lockdown baby. And I was like, oh, I just wrote that. And then I was like, no, Almitra, you wrote it in 2020. That
Oh
was
my goodness.
4 years ago.
Yeah.
And I think back and I think about that's how long it takes for theatre shows to develop, to find its feet,
Yeah.
to find another life beyond just the one.
Yeah. I think people underestimate how long it actually takes to make a lot of shows, you know? Like, especially from where you start conceiving a show all the way up to when you do like your first draft and then your first like presentation and then to actually see it on stage. There's so much more that's come before it.
Oh, yeah.
And you've done that a couple of times now.
Yes, I have. And in saying that, so people ask me how long it took me to write For the Love of Paper.
Yes.
And it took me 2 weeks.
2 weeks?
2 weeks.
It did not.
To the first draft, right? Not in terms of concept.
Yeah.
The concept I had... Actually, this is a really funny story. I was shooting my headshots with Mansoor, and we were just chatting about, at the time as well, I was like, oh, visas, bane of my existence. And he's like, oh, just get married. And I'm like, yes, if I had $1 for every time someone said that to me.
Yeah.
And then we were chatting about... a funny story with the theater that I was working at the time. And he's like, there's a story in that. And I'm like, yeah, whatever. And then I got really excited after that session. So I was like, cool, I'm going to write this play.
Yeah.
I'm going to write this play. And I work very differently in the sense that I work from titles.
Okay. Yeah.
So the title was the first thing that came.
Yeah, right.
So I said, For the Love of Paper. That's what I'm going to call it.
And then you kind of work from that jumping point?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's even with, and this is all writing for me, is that I write from the title. Songs?
Yep.
Write from the title.
Okay.
It's weird.
Is that something that happens, you think most artists do, or is that just something that works for you?
Something that works for me.
Yeah.
Because every artist I speak to is like, what do you mean you work from the title?
I like that though.
And everyone's like, the title is the last thing that comes. And I'm like, no.
Yeah, see, I like that because I've thought about like writing just something for ages, and I often have like ideas that come through. Oh, maybe. and then I have a title, and I go, oh, that's a great name for a play, or that's a great name for a book, and so that's like a jumping off point.
Yes.
So I get that.
Yeah. And so, like, I have at least 12 titles sitting on my writing board right now.
Okay.
And so, and I know the concept behind them as well.
Yeah.
So, but they're just sitting.
Okay.
But they're titled.
Yeah.
Except maybe one.
And so you kind of like, like that's what I'm going to do from there, and there.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's like, write it or don't write it, but at least the idea is there.
Yeah.
And it's planted.
Yeah.
And it can sit. Like I was literally telling someone today about a play that I've written, and I wrote it in 2018.
Yeah, okay.
And it's a courtroom drama.
Love that.
And I wrote it, and I've shelved it.
Oh, interesting.
For ages.
Okay.
But I do want to get back to it. And I was telling her this today, is that I have taken so long to write that because I haven't set it somewhere.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And because obviously the law changes in a place
true.
that you set it in.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, this is a story for when I actually have brain capacity to write something. There are so many things that are on my writing plate right now, and I'm very excited to write all of them. But yeah.
Yeah, it's just trying to find the time, first of all, but then also the one that kind of grabs you the most, I'd say.
Yeah, all whilst
Yeah.
trying to like find another life for the shows that I already have.
Exactly. Well, I mean, I was speaking to the people at the Hollywood Fringe recently, and your name popped up, Lois Neville. I was talking to her, and
That's so hot.
it was when I was doing our
love
Theatre
her.
Thoughts questions, and she was like, what's one of the, shows you've seen recently? And she was like, oh, when I was in Australia, I saw this show, and it was called Blacklisted. And I went, I know that show.
Oh, bless.
And she loved it.
Yeah, she met me after my show, and she gave me the warmest hug, and she's like, "Oh, you should bring this to LA, to Hollywood Fringe." And I was like, at that point, I was so exhausted from Adelaide Fringe. I was like, yes, absolutely, I would love to come to Hollywood Fringe, but in hindsight now, Blacklisted is not a Fringe show
Okay.
anymore.
It's not?
It's not.
Yeah.
I think it is an independent standalone piece.
Mm.
And there's a lot that I had to cut
Yeah, okay.
for Adelaide
Yeah.
in terms of time, in terms of space,
Yeah.
right? In terms of musicians.
Yeah, the musicians is a hard one.
Yeah. You saw it at the Haze. There were
Yeah.
4 musicians.
Yeah.
Came to Pact. There were 2.
Yeah.
Adelaide had 1.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, so it's kind of just getting smaller and smaller.
And I was like, no, enough.
Yeah.
And now I'm going to take it back home.
Yes. So, yes, you are going back home. So you've had 7.5 years here.
Yes.
And then now the Blacklist obviously tells about the story of how you found, a country to go to, essentially.
Yeah.
I guess for those who aren't familiar, do you want to give us it in a nutshell?
About Blacklisted?
Oh, yeah. And so
Yeah.
it kind of gives a little bit of context for our conversation,
absolutely.
I suppose.
So Blacklisted, let me just start at the COVID baby part of it, is when, I was joking around about all my visa rejections, Canada specifically. It's rejected me 6 times. And I was like, ha ha ha, longest running joke. And then someone was like, I think you should write about it. And I was like, should I though?
Should I?
Should I? And then my US rejection happened, and I wanted to go to my best friend's wedding, and I couldn't go there either. And so I was like, okay, this is getting ridiculous. And so I did. And I attended Alexis Fishman's masterclass in cabaret, and she's like, I want to see you write this show.
Oh, okay.
And so she just kind of pushed me, and I was like, okay. And when I look back at the first version and that first draft of Blacklisted, it was 3 titles, as in 3 song titles, and half a page.
Oh, no way. Wow.
I was like, what is this draft?
Yeah.
I was like, where was I going? And Blacklisted was the first song I wrote for that show.
Yeah, wow.
And so basically, in a nutshell, it is based on the assumption that I keep getting denied visas because I hold a Pakistani passport.
Right.
But at the heart of it, it is about the displacement of home and how I'm traveling the world to find a place that I call my home.
Yeah.
But there is a gravitational pull to Pakistan, which is my home.
Yeah.
And I say this in the show, it will always be my home. And I'm kind of excited to return.
Yeah? That's nice.
I am. It's taken a lot to come to that.
Yeah.
But I am quite excited in the fact that Blacklisted, doing it there, is going to be a whole different life to the show.
It's going to change pretty much everything about it. Because, it's where you're setting it, first of all.
Yeah.
But then you're going to have actually lived the experience, got the visa, lived the experience in Australia, and then brought it back home.
Yeah.
So it's like this weird full circle
thing
for it,
Yeah, and that's the exciting part. But also the fact that I can stop living that show, reliving the trauma of that show.
Yeah.
Right? Because it doesn't have an expiry date anymore.
Yeah, that's it.
Right? And it's not a ticking time bomb.
Yeah.
That keeps going, oh, I have to do the show and leave.
Yeah.
And, now it's like, I'm home. I came home, and this is where I will create, And this is where I will, do all of the things. And, maybe it's not a permanent stop.
Yeah.
Like, the world is now my oyster.
That's it.
The world is truly now my oyster. And you know what? I'm just, I'm going to pray with the visas.
It's a tough thing.
It's like, it is what it is. I can't change it. There's no reason for me to keep fighting it anymore. And there's no reason for me to go, oh, boo-hoo.
Yeah.
I'm like, it is what it is.
Yeah, exactly.
It is what it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
At least I'm not actually blacklisted.
I know. You can imagine if you were, it'd be a whole different story,
Yes.
Well, before we go, I guess, too far into yourself in the theatre shows as well, let's do our theatre thoughts questions.
Yes, let's
delve into your theatre brain. Okay.
Let's go.
All right. So the first question I'd love to ask is, what has been your favourite production you've seen recently?
How recent does it have to be?
Oh, it can be, I was going to say tomorrow. It can be yesterday or 2 years ago or however much you want.
Okay, look, I'm going to be extremely honest and say my favorite production in Australia has been Come From Away.
Oh, wow.
So, way back.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's such a beautiful show. It's a story that, I see and I was like, yes, this is a story. The book is strong.
Yeah.
The music is great.
Yeah.
I love folk music.
The music's beautiful.
And I'm going to have to say that has been one of my favorite productions.
Yeah. I love that. It's a good show.
I haven't seen Never Closer, though. I'm seeing it on Friday. So,
you're going to come back and be like, sorry, I'm going to change my answer.
Sorry, can I change? Yeah, so I've heard nothing but rave reviews about that show.
It moved me in such a way. I was
okay.
And obviously for those who've seen it, know everything about it. So there's a certain air and quality about it that you just kind of, the characters and what happens. And so you just feel it in a different way.
Okay.
So it's got good repetitive value, What's the word I'm looking for? A good...
Nostalgia?
No, a good return value on it.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Amazing.
So you have to tell me all about it.
Okay, I will.
Excellent.
Lovely.
Okay, the next question was, name a show that left you speechless.
So, and this is saying a lot.
Okay.
Right? I was recently in the final company run for Counting and Cracking.
Were you really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Because I won't be here to see it. And I didn't see it when it was here the last time.
Right.
And I sat there and I was gobsmacked.
Yeah.
It is a 3-hour-long show.
Okay.
With 2 intervals.
Yeah.
But it needs to be 3 hours long.
Okay, yeah.
Sobbing at the end. Just...
Wow.
Yeah, but speechless, truly.
Okay. I haven't seen it.
Well,
yeah,
on your list.
It is on my list. It is.
Yes.
Is that the one that's going overseas to Broadway?
Yes.
It is, yeah.
It's going to New York.
Yeah,
and
which is massive.
Yes, correct.
Massive.
As it should.
Yeah.
As it should. Really beautiful writing, just the performers in it, just so much heart, so much authentic storytelling. You are hooked for 3 hours.
Okay.
And your attention does not waver.
Yeah.
And
wow.
It's very easy to lose me in a show.
Yeah.
My attention just kind of goes, ooh. And the hard thing with theatre for me is also and it's really annoying because I can't just sit there and enjoy a piece of theatre. My mind keeps wandering to or I'll get inspired whilst watching the show.
Yeah. I get
then I'm like...
Yeah, and so then your brain goes
off with the ferry.
oh, what can I do here? What can I do that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's really annoying.
Yeah, I get what you mean.
Yeah. I'm like, it's really, really, truly annoying. Anyway, Counting and Cracking. Everyone
Counting
go
and
see
Cracking.
it, please. Yes.
I'd love to know then, what is the most rewarding theatre experience that you've had?
From myself?
Yeah, go for yourself. Yeah.
Can I say my own shows?
Of course you can.
Yeah, great.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I think both my shows have just been... Can I say both?
Yeah.
Cool.
Mate,
Great.
it's your podcast.
Great.
Do what you want.
It's really not. But okay. Yeah, both my shows
Yeah.
have just been the most rewarding experience for me in Australia as a writer, as a performer, as a musician.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? And I never thought that I would go down this path of writing.
Really?
Ever.
That's cool.
I have a degree in music theater.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, did I do what I came here to do? No, I did not. Right? I haven't been in very many musicals in Australia, but like this whole avenue of writing has been the most rewarding. And I was telling someone this after For the Love of Paper and the audiences that it brought in. I was like, no money in the world will replicate this feeling.
Yeah. Yeah.
No amount of money.
That's
and it's
insane.
like,
How beautiful.
yeah, and it's like I don't care that I haven't made rent for 3 weeks. Like,
well, there's a whole musical on that too, you know.
I will not be writing it. But like you can't put a price on that. That feeling.
It is a gorgeous feeling. I think I was talking. Who was I talking to recently? Oh, that's right. Went on a couple of speed dates and
Funsies.
fancy. And I think they were talking about. They were trying to be unique. This person I was talking to, and they asked something like, "What's like the moment where you feel like most alive?" And I was like, "Oh my god, what a deep question!" And I was like, throwing me off my feet. And then I was thinking. I was like. It's got to be when you're on stage. When you're on stage and when you're performing opposite other people, or when you like get that right spot in an audience and they applaud and they laugh and you're like, I just feel alive right now. And it's hard to replicate
every
it.
Night.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's why I like it more than film and TV.
Yeah.
Because you don't, like, you come up and you do the same thing. You go, oh my gosh, I wasn't there. Oh my gosh, I wasn't there. And you do the same thing like 50 times, like 50 different ways. But it's boring. Like live theatre you can't replicate it.
You can't. Even just being part of a band and being like the front singer in a band is different every night.
Yeah.
And there is just no place I'd rather be than the stage.
I love that.
And it's not it's not for the fame.
Yep.
Who needs it? It's not. It's like and it's not for the attention. It's just, I love doing it. And I love telling the story.
Yeah.
At the forefront. I love telling the story. And that's why I love writing.
I think that your shows in particular are very much focused on those stories as well. You know, like Blacklisted is very much you.
Yeah.
And then For the Love of Paper is again you, but in a much, more an extension and a much more theatrical sort of setting, I think. So it's a different sort of style of storytelling for you personally.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I love it.
Well, I'd love to know, the last question then is, which production would you most want to see come to Australia?
Well, it's coming.
What? No, what are you talking about? Is it?
No, I can't possibly say it. But no, it's coming, and I will not be here for it, which I'm really sad about. But also, I'm going to be really cheeky.
Oh?
And say the production I'd love to see come here is mine.
Yours?
I've been writing a musical for 5 years.
Yeah, that's right.
And so
What's it called again?
Alia.
That's the one. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that is my goal for when I go home.
Yeah, to bring it here.
To develop it.
Yep.
And fully complete it. And then be like, hi, Australia.
I'm back.
Please take it, because I created it here.
Yeah.
And that this is where it started.
Yeah.
You know, and I wish that Australia had more power for new works.
I know. Yeah, we do have
And
this is going to probably
pathways.
Yeah, I don't know very much about the Melbourne theatre, independent theatre scene. I know there is one, obviously, but I feel like they have a much more thriving main stage scene down there. And this might be ignorant because, again, I don't know. But I feel like Sydney has a much more thriving independent theatre scene.
Yeah.
Again, I might be wrong.
It
and I'd love
does
someone to tell me
feel
if I
like
am.
that.
But I just feel like we have so many new shows. Like the amount of new shows and stuff that I've seen since moving to Sydney and
Yeah.
bringing myself into this scene,
Yeah.
I've been gobsmacked by it.
How long have you been here?
Good question. 21. So this will be like year 3.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I've been here longer.
Oh, you have?
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm a local.
Ooh. Yeah. So it's interesting to see the scene that's up here. And
Yeah,
there's
wow.
like the richness of it and the thriving nature of how many independent and new works there are,
Yeah.
which I love.
Yeah. Absolutely. I want more new works. I want come on, let's write.
Yeah.
Let's just keep going.
But it's not just that. I want them to have a life after their first premiere.
That's it.
You know, like I've seen so many amazing new works, but then they're like a flash in the pan. You know, they go, oh, that was great. Bye. You want something like Never Closer that had a life in 25A
Yeah.
and then everyone was like, this is like amazing. And then it's
Yeah.
got a main stage transfer.
Yeah.
That's a whole new audience opens up to. And
Absolutely.
I've stood in that. I mean, you'd know because you work at Belvoir.
Yeah.
But like I've stood in that foyer now twice, and the people that have come down after the show, and I've overheard their conversations.
Yeah.
And it's just like you wouldn't have gone downstairs to see it, but
Yeah.
because it's in main stage, you're seeing it, and it's a whole new audience for
That's it. And it's interesting where we want more of those shows to hit the main stage.
Yeah.
But, it's
Well.
it's a hard risk.
It is.
Like
in theatre.
it's and I get it from a producer's point of view, but someone's got to take the risk.
I know. If you don't do it, no one will.
And that's why we're all making new work. That's why
Yeah.
we're all in the independent scene.
Mm.
Is because the main stage will not take it unless you prove, hey, here it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
And now I'm at that point now, is that I would love to have these shows have another life. And look, if it's not Australia, I'm going to take it elsewhere.
Yeah.
And that's the unfortunate thing,
Mm.
is that Australia is turning away so many good people
Yeah. Right.
and good work.
Yeah.
It's really unfortunate to see.
Yeah.
Big sad.
I know. Big sad.
I can't change it. I'm leaving. Someone's like, you can be the change. I'm like, with what power?
With what? I'm just one person.
Truly.
Well, we'll take a quick little ad break, and
Yes.
then I'd love to talk about your shows a little bit more.
Great.
Well, let's talk about your 2 shows that you've had. So you've had Blacklisted and For the Love of Paper, and I've seen both of them. They're both very, very good. Although I will say, I feel that The Love of Paper needed more music. There was a big piano sitting there, and I was like, is she going to play us a song? And she did one song, and I was like, a little bit more would be nice.
But then I played the guitar too.
No, you didn't. Not the
Yeah,
one
I
I
did.
saw.
No, I did. Of course I did.
Did you?
Yeah. Well, did you tune out?
No, I was in the preview one. Maybe you added it after.
No. I play the guitar on every show.
Ah, maybe that's just me forgetting.
Yeah.
I wanted full-on musical songs in it.
No,
but
that
it was
would
very
look-
good, like
Thank
very
you.
good writing as well. And obviously, both of them are very heartfelt because they come from you, and they're both very much about you as well. But I'd love to know was that scary to do?
Yeah.
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 Yes, it was. And Blacklisted more so, obviously, because it's autobiographical
Mm.
and it's like a piece of your heart on stage every day.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you this, the scariest thing about Blacklisted, doing it for the first time, was that my parents flew in
Okay.
from Pakistan.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was talking to my director at the time, Bernadette, and I was like, this is scary for me because I never want my parents to think, after watching this, that they made a mistake sending me.
Ah, okay.
Or I don't want them to feel the guilt that I feel leaving both countries now.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mm.
And I'm like, I just never want them to feel that way.
Mm.
And it was interesting because that show really just kind of sparked a conversation
Okay.
between my mom and I. And, I feel like I would have never had that conversation otherwise.
Mm.
but it was this really nice, and I think that's why I make art,
Yeah.
is to have a conversation.
Mm.
Sometimes you sit down, brown parents, and you're like, can we please just talk like normal adults?
Yeah.
And that never happens. So I'm
Oh.
like, cool. I'm going to sit you down for an hour and a
Yeah,
half
and
in
you
a
can't
theater.
escape.
And you can't retaliate.
Yeah, I'm just going to talk.
I'm just going to talk. But also the power of theater is you get to tell them the other side without them actually saying anything.
Yeah.
Right? So in For the Love of Paper, the mom is saying things and you retaliate in that moment, and then you hear how it actually can play out.
Yeah.
And I'm like, see? This is a possibility.
Yeah.
Like normal people. But yes, it was scary. It's also just scary offending an entire community.
Yeah. It can be scary.
Like
That's true.
And as much as like such a massive advocate for representation on stage and screen, and everyone's fighting for their own cultures, right? But South Asians are on the rise.
Yeah.
They really truly are, and I'm so excited to be a part of that. You know, just making a little tiny contribution to what I can.
Yeah.
And what I can control, right? I can't control what others want, what others consume. I really can't control that,
Yeah.
right? All I can control is the stories I know
Yeah.
and the stories I want to tell,
Yeah.
right? And theater is subjective.
That's true.
Not everyone is going to like it,
Yeah.
right? And not everyone is going to think it's the most amazing piece of writing,
Yeah.
right? And I'm okay with that.
Mm.
I'm like, I cannot please everyone.
I think it's one of those things that it would be tough for an artist or writer to kind of come to terms with. Because, like, obviously, I feel like with every actor, there's, like, that tiny little bit, like, even though you don't want to admit it, that tiny little bit where you're like, I want you to like me. And it's like me, please.
Yeah.
But, for a writer in that, to come to that sort of front where it's like, I don't care. Like, you like it, don't like it, I'm just telling my story. And I feel like that's a real there must be a turning point.
Absolutely. It is. And, you know, I remember at the forefront, I'm like, you know what? This story, it's important to me.
Yeah.
It's important to me. And you don't have to see the importance in that. It's important to me.
Yeah.
And ages ago, this is also kind of why I don't sort of release music.
Okay.
Music is for me.
Yeah, right.
You
okay.
know, I've been a songwriter my whole life.
Yeah. Yeah,
but
you've done
I've
heaps.
never released any music.
Yeah.
And the music that you hear in Blacklisted or otherwise is just kind of like songs that I wrote for the specific reason for the show.
Okay.
But music, I have 2 albums worth of songs that no
Wow.
one will ever hear
Yeah, right.
because they are for me.
Yeah.
And those are my saving graces.
Okay.
Those are my hobby. I
Yeah.
say that.
Yeah.
My career, but like those are the songs I just write for myself. And you know,
Yeah.
maybe one day if I feel like it, maybe I'll release it.
Yeah.
But it will never be to make money.
Okay.
Just not the goal.
Yeah. I
if
love
it
that.
does, sure.
That's really like
Not my goal.
you don't really hear that a lot.
No.
You know?
And it's interesting when I started AIM, my very first singing teacher, Gavin Lockley, shout out to you. He's in London, I think. I don't know. I haven't touched base. Maybe I should. He told me, we were having this same discussion, and I was like, no, I don't. He's like, you should be, writing jingles and da-da-da-da. And I'm like, no.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
write music for me.
Yeah.
And I don't really want to sell it.
Yeah.
And he's like, you're probably like the 1% who is doing it for the right
The
reasons.
1%.
And I'm like, yeah, I don't write music for anyone but me.
Yeah.
And they can be absolute shit fucking lyrics.
Yeah.
I don't care. 8-year-old Almitra, when she started writing lyrics. Oh boy.
That'd be very different, wouldn't it?
Yes. Yes. Slightly.
Slightly different.
Just slightly different. No. Those will never see the light of day.
How interesting. Maybe
Never.
one day we'll just pop out there and we're like, oh,
When I'm dead.
yeah. Put it in my will. When I am passed, you
When-
may listen.
Yes, you may listen. And they will be worth millions. Give them to my kids.
The other thing I'd love for you to talk about is sort of any like tips or tricks for anyone who wants to do what you've done, and make this career trajectory and path for yourself.
Yeah, that's always an interesting question, isn't it? I don't have all the answers, right?
Yeah.
No one does.
No.
We're all winging it.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what everyone will tell you, that we're all winging it. But like you said, consistency is key. And resilience is such a part of it.
Yeah.
Right? I'm also very stubborn. Ridiculously stubborn. And I just refuse to take no for an answer.
Okay.
I just refuse.
Yeah.
If someone tells me no, I'm like, cool, watch me.
Yeah.
And that's what always happens. I have zero shame, right? I have no ego in the sense that the worst that will happen is no.
Yeah.
Right? Shoot your shot.
Yeah.
That is the best advice I can give you. Shoot your shot.
Yeah.
The worst that will happen is no.
Yeah, I'm trying. I think ever since I've started like Theatre Thoughts and all this stuff, I've taken that path a couple of times where I'm like, what a stupid thing to ask, but at least I asked it.
Correct.
And
there are no wrong answers, right? Everyone is so terrified of, and we're human. Of course, we're terrified of rejection. Of course, we're holding on to hope.
Yeah.
Right? And that is me. I'm just like hopeless, stupidly hopeless, optimistic. Right? And sometimes my friends are like, how do you live your life? And I'm like, on prayer and on hope. My 2024 motto was throw everything at the wall and see what sticks.
Ah, okay.
Everything.
How
Right?
good.
And I've been doing that this whole time.
Yeah.
And some things stick and some things don't. And,
Yeah.
I have to trust the timing of life.
Yeah. That's it. I think the
It
weird
will
part.
sound very wanky, but
No,
yeah.
but it's true though.
It is true.
I think
Like-
a lot of part of life is timing, and timing, whether that's in relationships or theatre or jobs or
Yeah.
anything, time is a massive part of it. And it's one of those things that is horrible because you can't control it, but it is what it is.
That's it. You can't control it. And I think the best advice that I can give to upcoming emerging writers is that start. Just word vomit onto a page.
Yeah.
And find one person that you can just either bounce off of or just tell your stupid ideas to. And say them out loud and out proud. Even if it is the dumbest idea, just say it out loud. Because that way, it's in the universe and you don't know who's listening.
Yeah. That's it.
That's it. And but also keep at it. Follow through is such a big part of it.
Yeah. Yeah. True.
Right? You can have an amazing idea. You can put it all to paper. You can put it wherever. But if there is no follow through, no one's going to see it. And I understand it is scary and it is terrifying. But do it. It is also, like I said, the most rewarding thing when it comes back.
Yeah.
And sometimes it doesn't. And that's okay too. I feel like I've sounded wanky now.
No, I think it's beautiful. I think it's really good.
I think that, but I'm also just a very spiritual human,
Yeah.
right? And I just hope. I just hold on to hope, right? Even now, I'm like, maybe things will change in 2 weeks.
Maybe something might happen.
No, I'm ready to go home, but
Yeah.
also till the very last minute, briefs are coming through, and I'm like,
Maybe I'll just little step in there and
Yeah.
you never know.
And that's what it is, right? I fully know that I'm leaving. But I'm like, you know what? Oh well.
Yeah. Oh well.
If I get it, I tell them, oh, sorry. But at least I like, and it's just like a little ego boost. And
Yeah.
I'm like, cool, great.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
How good. Well, Almitra, thank you for jumping on. This has been
Thank you.
amazing to chat, and it's great to probably one of your last things that you do here, I suppose, which is very
Yeah.
wholesome.
Yes, it is. It's a very full circle moment for me, and it's just been such a beautiful time in Australia.
Mm.
I will miss it.
Yeah,
I
and we
will-
will miss you very much.
Thank you. Yeah, but I will be back
Yes.
in some capacity, in somewhere. Life is short but long.
Yeah, that's it. You never know what'll happen. You just got to do it.
Just got to do it.
Yep.
I promise it all works out in the end because
Okay.
it has to.
That's it. Well, Mitra, thank you so much.
Thanks,
All the best,
Justin.
and
Thank
I will
you.
see you next time when we see you.
Yes, I'll see you when I see you.
A massive thank you to Almitra Malvalvala for joining us here on the Theatre Thoughts podcast. You can find out more about Almitra by heading to her website, which can be found in this episode's description. This episode was produced by Echidna Audio. Follow them on Instagram at Echidna Audio for all their audio services. Once again, if you enjoyed our podcast, leave us a review wherever you get your podcasts and head to the link in this episode's description for our Instagram account, TikTok, YouTube, and Patreon. My name's Justin Clark, and I'll see you next time here on the Theatre Thoughts podcast.
Disney's Aladdin on Broadway is among the longest running shows in Broadway history. But did you know that it almost never came to be?
We walked out of Seattle thinking, okay, we don't have it. We have a lot of work to do.
But against tremendous odds, in March of 2024, they celebrated 10 years on Broadway.
Disney did a great job because they really took the notes.
Go behind the magic and listen to this never-before-heard story, the magical making of Disney's Aladdin on Broadway. Available everywhere you can get your podcasts.
Can you identify an alphabet just from her defying gravity war cry?
Can you name every actress in the Wicked to Waitress pipeline?
Or does the phrase witch switch mean anything to you?
Well then,
Good
news! My name's Quincy,
And my name's Kevin.
and we're the hosts of Sentimental Men,
We're here to talk
and maybe scream.
about our favorite women in musical theater, the witches of Wicked. So if spending a Friday night in a no-good deed rabbit hole on YouTube sounds like your idea of a good time, then Sentimental Men is the podcast for you.
And with guests like Jessica Vosk, Lucy Jones, and Stephanie J. Block, chances are we've already got an episode with your favorite alphabet.
Or Glinda, like Laura Bell Bundy, Brittany Johnson, and Mackenzie Kurtz.
So pause your riff compilations, put down your copy of The Grimmery, and give Sentimental Men a listen.
You can find us on the Broadway Podcast Network or wherever you listen to podcasts.